Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from the GBM studios in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes. Start your morning right with your hosts, Sabrina Daly and Paul Lopez.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
And good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. It is August 27th, 2026. The month is just about at its end.
You know, it's so crazy because I feel like we just had this conversation a few weeks ago, which is correct. It was a few weeks ago. You saying that we're jumping into the 8th month. And, you know, I can't believe that we're already wrapping this one up. I feel like it flew by quite quickly. How about you?
No, I feel the same way, but time flies when you're having fun.
It waits for no one.
When you're working hard, when you're making money, and when you're getting little sleep.
Yep. And when you're even not making money, it's still flying by too,
Yeah,
you know.
100%.
It never
And so
stops.
we're jumping into the month of September. I was hoping to see all the frills and flair and the decor that comes with September across the city. I haven't seen a lot of it yet, if I could be quite honest. I see some houses already raising their flags.
Yeah.
I see maybe 1 and 2 spots. And so I wonder if it has anything to do with the upcoming PUP convention. That's Sunday. And then September 1st is it's Tuesday, right? So it's just a thought that crossed my mind while driving around a couple of nights back, if not over the weekend, whether or not we are concerned right now about hoisting blue flags. That
You think you actually
we're not so much busy until maybe Monday or late Sunday night with putting up those Belize flags to really usher in September. I don't know, I just asked.
You'd give me a lot of credit, Paul.
We-
I think
what-
so.
what, hoist
You'd
blue
give
flags?
the PUPs a lot of credit for say that they block the September
Oh.
decorations from the happen.
Well, you see, you decide to accuse somebody of something.
No, I'm saying, is that what you think?
Well, I'm
But
asking.
It's interesting, though. I know that you're right. A lot of people, they've come to expect the city to be decorated. Just every municipality, really, to be decorated.
Like
and I know
downtown,
that
for example.
Yeah.
You would have said
the
like
overpass with the lights.
None of the overpass. Downtown, you would have said like the leaf flag triangular things from side to side to side to side. And
I think those are called banderines.
Yeah, whatever they're called.
No, I think as September 1st hit,
you want to
hear it on the radio.
Yeah, they're like just
You wanna
overnight.
see it everywhere, you know?
Overnight,
It's kind of like when Santa Claus come to town, you know? It happen overnight.
Yeah, interesting.
All right, but I know that we have lots to jump into. I see our loyal fans dropping in the comment section, sharing their morning welcome. Samson Jacobs, as usual, the first one I see log on online. He said, good morning. Francisco Madrid, good morning to you. Janelle Terhake, Michelle Sampson, Wilber Zelaya, Magdalena Vasquez. Good morning to all of you, and thank you so much for starting your morning right and wherever you are, locking in with us and making OYE a part of your routine. Now, before we jump into some of the discussions, the topics that we think everyone should know before they leave their homes, we have some conversations that we think you also should look forward to throughout the course of this morning as well. We're going to kick things off with rural trade license rollout. The ministry will be joining us to explain what Belizeans need to know concerning that. And then we spoke about it yesterday, the potential drought that could take place here in Belize. We know that we are in an El Nino year, and so that's a lot of concerns, I think, coming out of the agriculture sector. And so we'll be talking about drought warnings for Belize. The Chief Met Officer, Ronald Gordon, he'll be explaining the El Nino threat, as I mentioned. And then the Belize Project, supporting healing for many communities in Belize. And finally, wrapping things up with Beyond Game partners with MoHW, so the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and the YWCA for Community Health Fair.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sabrina. So here's what we have on some of the things you need to know. First, BTL withdraws SpeedNet acquisition bid. That has been made official. Secondly, tax workers walk out in protest of Revenue Authority bill. Things are heating up in the BTSD. Third, hundreds missing after flash flood on Nepal-Tibet border. Another interesting dilemma here. It's international. It's gone viral all across social media. Videos are just jaw-dropping and graphic to some extent. We'll be touching on that. Fourth, UDP hosts press conference on national issues. They spoke about BEL, they spoke about education, they spoke about the upcoming municipal elections, they even spoke a bit about Moses Shine Barrow and some money is being demanded as a part of a damages claim, right? Going to be touching a bit on that. And last but certainly not least, the champions rise. The Caribbean Junior Road Cycling Champions Motorcade, specifically for our young Belizean riders, that's going to take place today. And so we're going to spend some time highlighting their achievements and speaking about that upcoming motorcade. And so these are the conversations lined up for this morning.
All righty, Paul. Well, thank you so much for that outline. I know that a lot of people were anticipating a possible notice from BEL last night that there might be another, what do we call it again?
Load shedding. There was actually notices came out early in the day.
And so when that announcement came, I think it kind of, it wasn't very shocking, especially after just the conversations that we've been having for the better part of this week, what took place on Tuesday as well. So I know that there was a notice that was put out by the BEL essentially saying that there may be load shedding taking place in certain parts of the country from the north to the south. That was later on in the evening. I think it was scheduled to be from around 6 p.m. to 9. I'm thankful that my neck of the woods didn't experience it for once. Well, for one, I definitely feel blessed about that. But I know a lot of people, they were also voicing their thoughts online saying that they experienced it earlier than 6 o'clock even.
Well, remember it was at 4:30 yesterday that power went out to across Belize City.
Yes.
And so people were wondering if the load shedding had begun. So when 8:30 hit last night, because that was one of the scheduled load shedding time, tentative scheduled load shedding time, and 8:31 hit and I still had power, I jokingly said to myself, all right, it looked like I win the load shedding lottery tonight. My name won't be called. And then it began to feel like a whole episode of Hunger Games terms of, all right, who gets to have power tonight and who gets to not have power tonight, right? Who will experience load shedding and who won't. And it's interesting that that's the type of scenario we're living in as a country. It's interesting that one country holds the switch in their hands. They could determine if we get power or if we don't get power based on whatever situation they're facing on that side of the border. I think it's shameful that we as a nation, as an independent nation, relies so heavily on another country for power to the extent that whenever they have issues, we could go in complete blackout as a country. But like myself last night, a lot of Belizeans, while they are stressed out about it, they've been making light of the situation as well.
As Belizeans
and you know what?
normally do.
Listen, a part of the way to cope sometimes is to laugh. I know I lie. Sometimes the stress level gets so high that you go from vex to bex to bex, to the point that, you know what, all I could do that laugh at
Yeah.
this point, because what is this life and what is happening?
Have
And
you
so-
been seeing the memes online?
Yeah, so I saw one last night where this young man, he actually was at the barber shop. And power Ghana, listen, that's my worst fear, and I want to play the audio
Okay,
on
I'm
this.
so excited because I actually have not seen this video
Yeah,
as yet,
I want
but
to
I
play
heard
the
you guys
audio.
talking
I
about
want to play the audio. Can we bring it up from the back top and play the audio?
it. Okay, let's go.
Watch out, at one point in time, the only time correct go to the hotel if you don't pay your bill. Now BLS cut out everybody, even people who pay. Even people who pay the bill, BLS cut out. And that barber shop, half and a half. You're not cheap. My whole face, I look at before and after. Before and after. Stupidness.
Yeah, so he lived what is my worst fear. I won't lie. My biggest fear is sitting in the barber shop and on the
Current
barber
go.
chair and current go. Because listen, I was sleep at the barber house. If current come on 11 o'clock tonight, I will wake up the barber and say, all right, look, we go finish. I did tell you, I know the left hand there because I want to do something.
But at least he filmed it so he can show his coworkers when
Right.
they make fun of him
That's the
today.
case. So that's one of the videos that have been circulating, and it
Yeah.
gave me a really good laugh last night. But it's the reality. It's one on a lighter note, but it's the reality when you think about other sectors that are heavily reliant on power, you know. And then there's another one.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
let's
playing
go to
on
that.
screen behind us, and hopefully we can show that as well. This was the one that I saw on Wednesday, and of course it included a little bit of GBM in there as well, highlighting KTV. Let's highlight.
This is AI,
show this
right?
one. This is definitely AI. I don't know if you ever see a man pan lamp post. Oh, the hook over the city pal.
Let's play it.
Let's get to that. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it also featured Yeriso, the Belizean
The
social
new
media platform. But yeah, you know, a lot of us, there are things that we can't control. And so as you mentioned, I think rightfully or rightly, sometimes the best thing to do is to just have some fun with it, to just laugh about it. But of course, still ensure that you make enough noise to hold people accountable. And I think that's also where we are at this time. People are definitely frustrated by what's taking place. They're asking a lot of questions, but they're also sharing their personal experiences and making light of it.
So what the United Democratic Party proposed yesterday at their press conference, they proposed a $40 million relief fund, $40 million US dollar relief fund to sort of ease the burden from BEL and ease the burden of families that are facing these constant power outages, right? So that's a part of the solution that they're presenting. And they're also asking for BEL to release its data in terms of these smart meters and the comparative data in terms of what the old meters looked like and how they read compared to the new meters and how they read. Listen, I did a story yesterday on air conditioning unit and how air conditioning unit works with power. And interestingly, I learned something. I
did too.
Yeah, so I don't always learn.
I'm going to take notes.
Right, and I'm sure you have air conditioner, maybe one at least. A lot of people do. And what I learned, though, what stood out to me was that Mr. Williams, even in applying all of these tips and tricks, if you would, to kind of curtail the energy use of his AC, he still saw his bill go up by 33% this last cycle, which then has me questioning, and it had him questioning, and we had a conversation about it off camera as to what really then is causing this spike. And we discussed or ventured into the idea of whether or not it is really the meters.
Oh, really?
Right? Whether or not it could be possible that these meters, and a reporter asked the question, not yesterday, on Monday, to Executive Chairman Lin Yong about whether or not these meters, these new meters, the smart meters, AMI meters, they're so sensitive that they read the energy consumption in a manner that is higher than what the traditional meters read. The way how Executive Chairman Lin Young explained it in response is that it's more accurate.
Yeah.
So whereas the older traditional meters would have read it at a certain amount of
like an
accuracy,
estimation, yeah.
An estimated accuracy, these ones are more accurate. But is it then that accuracy also means, when we're asking, is it then that accuracy also means that the older meters were not reading truly how much energy you are using in your home, and so now this newer one that is true reading. So in essence, uno OOE, BL is saying uno OOE because those meters weren't reading to the truest, right? Number.
It's funny that you say that, because yesterday I went home really quickly after the morning show, and I met someone in the yard, and he was at the meter, switching from the old one to the new smart meter.
Like, what's up?
Of course, I went and I struck up a conversation. I said, sir, please, I really don't want to see my bill double after you switch this meter. And coincidentally, my neighbor was also there, and her meter was also getting switched. And this man, when I tell you, pal, he quickly switched that. I think he's afraid that people may have fight on. And I think, of course, I didn't go at him, all hostile and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure the meter men that we would have, considered them in the past, they probably to get their one tear up when they go to people yard right now, because people think that it's their fault as well. But I'm understanding, I'm informed, and I'm definitely going to monitor to see what my bill looks like, because I actually had no idea that I had the older meter.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to what my next bill will look like. I'll keep you guys informed and let you know what the results are.
So I've personally...
But one of the things I wanted to point out really quickly from the story that you did last night, Paul, they mentioned that, one, we know that a lot of the homes, or majority of the places in the country that have ACs in it, your spaces are not insulated, right?
Yeah.
And so the cold air is not able to be locked in the environment or the room that the AC unit might be in. And so that's one of the reasons why your appliance, like your AC unit, might be sucking up or using more energy, because when it's hotter and your room isn't sealed, the cool air seeps out, the hot air goes in, and then it has to work harder. Again. The next thing is, I know, right? Well, I kind of knew that, but I guess he kind of reinforced it and reminded us. The next thing he said, though, was persons who put their ACs at 16, right? So we know, like, for most AC unit, like 16 is like the coldest, right? So he said 16, the level 16 is 60 degrees.
Yeah.
And it's extremely unlikely that your room will ever
reach
be
that temperature.
60 degrees because of it not being insulated. And so because of that, he's suggesting that you turn it instead, or put it instead to 25.
23.
Or 23.
Yeah.
He said that that's around the era where he's most comfortable, or he's, I guess, adjusted to.
And then if you got to, if you're at least sweating issue like me, sometimes you got a little rolls here and there.
Yeah.
At least sweat get catch on, you could put it at 21, 22.
21 or 22.
Yeah.
And that, I'm assuming that will just have the AC not have to work so hard to try to keep the room cool. If I had a tip on me, I said put on a fan too and not trying to
Well, that's another tip
air.
he gave.
Okay.
But, you can't show everything on television, because he said if you put on a fan, you will realize that the air that's coming out at 23, 24, the fan helps it to hit your body and your skin directly. And so it makes you feel cooler. And so yes, 100%. I've personally reached out to BL to request the data as well that the UDP is asking on their smart meters. In fact, I've asked them to show me, to bring me in and show me tests. Let's run through the test to see how this meter reads versus the older meter, how they read, so that we could present to the public. If you're saying, in fact, it's not the meter's fault, then let's look at the data. Let's capture it on camera so we could help the public better understand and dispel whatever notion people has on that. And so I haven't been successful in getting that from them.
But here's a joke, since we like laugh and kiki Paul, because one of the things Isani spoke about yesterday and on Tuesday was that one of the ways he try avoid using more electricity if he try cool off, that by bathe more. So he hit the showers and he detect multiple showers to cool off. But yesterday, we saw a notice come out as well from BWS saying that there may be an unplanned water interruption. And also, you know, they put out notices on ways that you can conserve more and save more by using less water. And I think for me and for probably many other persons who saw this notice online, which is legitimate, you know, we should be responsible in our consumption of water and not waste and have the tap running and all of that mindlessly. But I think it's about to have a lot more Belizeans concerned about, you know, like basic needs, like water, like things like having light in your house, you know, to function, to come home from a long day from work and just open your refrigerator and know that there's food inside being kept cold, to be able to turn on your light to do your homework. For kids who are currently in school now and they need the internet to be able to complete their assignments, and you now having to worry if you will have electricity to do that. And then, of course, the water added to the side. I think that is something that we should all be concerned about right
100%. So for the sake of time, I quickly want to jump to the fact that we're celebrating our cyclists. Let's just run through that quickly. The Juniors Caribbean Cycling Championship was hosted in Belize over the weekend, and I was in attendance.
Yes.
Right? And the pride that I felt over the weekend watching Ahmad Sherrington win in the juvenile category, and then watching the other individuals, the other cyclists win in their categories as well. Primarily in the male category, you had Devin Major winning the junior category as well for Belize, Heath Enright coming in second, and Jamal Tablada coming in fourth, right? So we podiumed across the male categories, and then in the female category, in the juvenile category, we had Irene Baki that podiumed. But I was a bit disappointed on earlier in the week because we did not see that level of celebration from Belize and from our ministers and our leaders that these young men and women deserved. And what added insult to injury was when the Caymans published a flyer saying that they were hosting a welcome parade for their cyclists that participated, that traveled all the way to Belize, Ryan Thompson, and was traveling back home, that they were hosting a parade for his welcome. And so I know that the mother of Mr. Ahmad took to social media and she called it out. She called out the minister. She called out the junior minister, basically asking them, how is it that another country is celebrating perhaps 1 or 2 goals, and here we have at least 5 medals, and we are not celebrating? And you know, they say sometimes open mouth no get, closed mouth no get feed. And I don't know if that is what triggered this motorcade, and that's beside the point. At this point, I'm glad that we're actually hosting a motorcade and that we're celebrating these young men. And I think the point is now for Belizeans to come out and for Belizeans to show them the support, because in a similar way how we, at least initially, never had nothing planned, as far as I know, we didn't have a lot of Belizeans out there as well on the day itself, celebrating these young riders. This is the future. We talk about wanting young people to be more productive and to give more of their time and talent to representing Belize. Well, we should be out there celebrating these young people. I know now it's Sunday and people got things to do, but I think you also should set time apart. So the motorcade takes place today. It goes across Belize City. And it's an opportunity for us to really celebrate the accomplishments of these young people. This is a Caribbean competition, the best of the best from across the Caribbean. And we've proven in both the juvenile and the junior categories for the men that we in Belize we're in fact the best of the best.
Yeah, I think though, for me, I see it as a deeper issue. One, I think Belizeans in general, sometimes we place more favoritism on certain disciplines. One, we appreciate a good volleyball, and so when our volleyball girls. But here's the thing: I'm not saying that we should not celebrate volleyball or celebrate basketball. I think we should embrace and acknowledge and highlight every single one of them. And particularly where cycling is concerned, and I might really push the limit here, so please no blast me on Facebook. I feel like Belizeans or the general public, we only kind of get behind and celebrate cycling when not cross country.
Yeah, because of how traditional and deeply rooted it is.
And so I remember over the weekend when this event was held, people were complaining more of the road being blocked.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's an example of why I'm saying that we don't necessarily celebrate this discipline as much as we should, especially when we look at the fact that these kids are competing against people in the region, and we medaled. And we're still not talking about it. However, when other disciplines come in get bronze or silver, we want whole motor kid. Don't even get me started about how we celebrate them, because if you remember when our boys came back from volleyball when they had a truck back, we need to talk about that too. And so I think there's a lot that needs to be done from the pride side of Belizeans in terms of celebrating our athletes. We can't just say we need to give them more money, but we not actually to celebrate them when they actually medal or accomplish something. So that's just my thoughts on it.
I really like it. You have some really good thoughts and opinions on that.
And that's because I don't even know cycling like that. But I respect them when they have their regional competitions or even the local ones.
Yeah, you don't know cycling like that, but you are a passionate Belizean.
Yes.
And you're a prideful Belizean, and I'm proud of you for that. Look at me, Belize at 45, and look at you, Sabrina.
Look at me.
Look at you. So finally, I want to take things international for a bit. And just look at that, just briefly go over to that tragic, unfortunate incident in Nepal, right? So what began to emerge yesterday were videos of very unfortunate devastation in a community in the border between Nepal and Tibet.
I
China.
actually saw the videos being circulating Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Yes.
So Wednesday night is last night, darling.
No, then Tuesday night.
Yes.
It was after KTVI.
So Tuesday night into Wednesday morning.
Oh my God, look at that. That's so sad.
So what scientists are realizing, or based on the studies, the preliminary studies, is that there's this glacier mountain that collapsed. So the day before, this mountain was filled, had a lot of ice on it. And as hours passed, the ice melted and disappeared. And for some unfortunate reason, the glacier mountain let loose from the entire structure and collapsed. And so what came down was water that from melted ice, along with glacier that was rapidly melting, and all this dirt and rocks and debris from the mountain. And it is suspected that a huge part of it is climate related and climate change in that area, where they've reported increased heat and increased temperatures in short spans of time. But the videos circulating, they are just jaw-dropping, and some of them even disturbing. Where like this one, where people literally had seconds to respond, and there was absolutely no way they could have escaped this. Like, you are actually witnessing people getting covered, right? And just being
by water, by debris,
swallowed by water and debris. And these videos are across that span of that river, in the communities along that river. You see these sort of videos emerge. You also see videos where people escape. They manage to escape. I
don't know how you survive something like that. So when I saw that Tuesday night, I was literally like shocked. I was watching it just before I went to bed, and I was wondering about people in the buses that we saw on the roads. Of course, the ones on bridges, that's like inescapable. But people trying to run away in seconds, as you said, looking like ants from a distance from that surveillance camera that we saw. I have no idea how you survive something like that. We know that currently there are reports of over 100 persons who have died as a result.
200 plus now. That's a death toll, about 232.
Okay, and people, of course, are still missing.
1,300 plus are still missing, and among them are over 300 tourists, including over a dozen Americans, or more than, or dozens of Americans, because a lot of tourists were there on a pilgrimage.
Oh, wow.
So they were sort of on a religious journey when this whole thing happened. And so it's devastating. The world is talking about it. And the whole topic of climate has
and natural
come,
disasters, even the power
right.
of natural
Well,
disasters,
it
things that you
is
can't control.
how climate is influencing natural disasters across the country, across the world, sorry, and how we're seeing more and more of these climatic impacts on our weather and on our natural landscapes. And so we thought to bring it up, one, to say we notice it, everybody's having the conversation, but also to send our thoughts and prayers all the way from Belize over to that side of the world, and of course to the families and loved ones.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much for that. Well, we do have to close off this portion of the conversation. I'm going to jump in the comments section really quickly and see what some of you are saying. I see here MoHW saying, true equality, no matter the pay scale, darkness for everybody. That has to do with the power outage and the videos that we saw online. Tyler Smith commenting back and said, MoHW, unless you have generator. And he spelled it like Creole, which is funny. And really on the topic of generators, I think now more than ever, people to consider that investment. Sheesh. You kind of always think a generator as like the rich people investment.
Yeah, to me, that's still luxury.
Right? Like, but a generator,
the affordability.
We've had Full Tech on selling generators for reasonable prices, and that's not me like advertising. It's just because we've had them on, and I remember that. And so I saw Andrew Munnings make a post online saying, you know, Aliyah, go hingang and make this investment and no more than ever I appreciate it.
Well, dead a lot of money on a funeral. The man make one lease something. Watch too much. Yeah, anyways.
All right. I see here Francisco Madrid saying, you are so right, Sabrina. We are proud of our Belizean. New York in the house. Exactly. Sometimes you have people in the diaspora who have a little more pride. But yeah, so we're going to wrap things up here and jump now into our weather. Let's see if we are going to go into our Eye on the Weather.
I believe so.
Brought to us by the folks from the National Meteorological Service.
Thank you all so much for staying tuned. This is our Eye on the Weather, courtesy of our friends at the National Met Service of Belize. Let's look at what we have for today's forecast. It's going to be sunny skies with a few cloudy spells. Showers or thunderstorms will be generally isolated, except for a few more along coastal areas this morning. Tonight's skies will be partly cloudy, becoming cloudy at times, along with a few showers and isolated thunderstorms to develop over southern districts elsewhere. Showers and thunderstorms will be isolated. That just sounds like a beautiful song or a poem. We should have somebody here singing or doing a poetic rendition of our weather forecast. Today's temperatures along the coast is 88 degrees Fahrenheit on the higher end and 82 on the lower end. Inland, 94 degrees Fahrenheit on the higher end and 74 on the lower end. And in the hills, 82 degrees Fahrenheit on the higher end and 68 degrees on the lower end. Let's look today at our extended forecast. Along the coast on Friday, it's going to be 89 degrees Fahrenheit and 95 inland. On Saturday, 89 and 95. On Sunday, 89 and 95. On Monday, 89 and 95. It's basically the same temperature across all these days. Astronomical forecast. The sun rose this morning at 5:37 a.m. and it's going to set at 6:10 p.m. The moon is going to rise later on at 5:59 p.m. and it's going to set at 5:57 a.m. tomorrow morning. And our marine conditions, the sea state is going to be light chop to choppy Winds is going to blow from east at 10 to 15 knots. Tides, today's high is at 9:16 a.m. And then we have a low at 4:15 p.m. Then we have another high at 10:04 p.m. And then tomorrow's low at 3:47 a.m. And that does it for our Eye on the Weather, courtesy our friends at the National Met Service of Belize. Back to you.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Paul. If there's anything I know for sure I'm going to remember is that temperatures will be 89 and 95. All right, we're going to jump into our next break, and when we come back, our conversation is Rural Trade License Rollout. The ministry will be explaining what Belizeans need to know.
Connection isn't something you switch on. It's something you build together.
Connected through culture.
Culture isn't preserved in silence. It's kept alive through participation.
Connected through education.
Education doesn't always look like a classroom. Sometimes it looks like someone taking the time to teach and someone else choosing to learn.
Connected through sports.
Before the win, before the applause, there's belonging. Here, young people learn more than how to play. They learn how to stand together.
Connected through community.
Community isn't a campaign, it's showing up. Not once, but every time it matters.
Connected through you.
Behind every connection is a person who cares. People who listen. People who stay. We don't just connect services, we connect you to your world.
Connected through every chapter.
Smart, bringing people together.
Every dream begins with an opportunity, and every opportunity has the power to change a life. This year, Belize Bank proudly welcomes 16 outstanding new scholars during its 14th annual Scholarship Award ceremony, recognizing young Belizeans whose academic excellence, leadership, and determination inspire us all.
When I look around the room today, I see future entrepreneurs who will build businesses. I see future doctors who will heal families. I see engineers who will design infrastructure, teachers which will inspire the next generation.
For Belize Bank, a scholarship is more than financial assistance. It's a commitment to each student's future through guidance, encouragement, and mentorship from members of our management team. Today, we celebrate 16 new scholars, more than 250 lives transformed, one shared future. Because when we empower our youth, we empower our nation.
Start your last Friday of the month with a little extra flavor. Join us on Open Your Eyes for Travelers Cocktails, where we'll be mixing, shaking, and serving up delicious drinks featuring spirits from the Travelers Liquors Limited. Discover creative cocktail recipes, fun combinations, and refreshing ways to enjoy your favorite Travelers spirits. Tune in and raise a glass with us every last Friday of the month, only on Open Your Eyes.
The next station is not just a place, it's the vacation capital of the world. Mexican Caribbean, the vacation capital.
When your baby feels comfortable, you feel confident. Because every little moment deserves protection you can trust. Kushkin's diapers are designed with ultra-absorbent layers that lock in leaks while staying soft, dry, and gentle on delicate skin. So your baby can play freely and you can enjoy every smile without worry. Kushkin's diapers, comfort they feel, protection you trust. Kushkin's diapers and wipes are available countrywide at a supermarket near you.
Every business starts with a vision. And every day, Belizean entrepreneurs are turning that vision into reality.
Hi, I'm Rosalie, General Manager of Cards and Merchant Services at the Belize Bank. Today, I am proud to introduce our new solution designed specifically for Belize's small and medium-sized businesses.
Introducing the Belize Bank Advantage MasterCard SME Business Credit Card. Whether you're managing everyday expenses, purchasing inventory, or investing in growth, this card gives your business the flexibility to move forward with confidence. Applying is easy. Visit any Belize Bank branch and speak with one of our SME officers. We'll help you find a solution that best fits your business. Your business is building Belize's future. Let Belize Bank help power what's next.
Insurance fact. Did you know Home Protector Insurance provides liability insurance that is for licensing? Public liability insurance for the hotels and guest houses protects the guests staying at the resort. Tour operators insurance for on-site tourists and marine passenger liability for passengers. You take care of your guests, we'll take care of you. Visit any Home Protector Insurance office near you to learn more.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned with us. This is our first conversation for this morning, and it's all about a trade license and other initiatives that the Ministry of Rural Transformation, Community Development, and Local Government has been undertaking. And we have joining us on set Minister in this ministry, Minister Oscar Rikenya, as well as CEO in this ministry, CEO Valentino Shal. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Thank you for the
Pleasure having
opportunity.
both of you. And so let's jump right into the conversation by discussing or setting the foundation for the need that arose in relation to this trade license overhaul.
Well, first of all, good morning and thank you very much for this opportunity. Certainly, at our ministry, we have undertaken various reform initiatives, and certainly the trade license reform is one of those initiatives that we have undertaken over the last 3 to 4 years. This became necessary because, as you know, generally there has been the implementation of a trade license in the urban areas, but within the rural areas there was never one. It was more informally. So certainly, as part of this reform, we saw the need to be able to, overhaul the entire system and ensure that the rural areas were afforded an equal opportunity at developing a regulatory framework in which the trade license would operate. I believe that that is very important. This is also in line with part of our commitment on the Plan Belize, because as you know, the rural spaces, they do not have much income opportunities. If you live within a village, the only kind of income that you would generate would be either from a liquor license, and in many rural communities, there are no liquor licenses, no liquor businesses operating. And as such, they wouldn't be able, the village council wouldn't be able to collect any income. So we saw that there was the need to expand the revenue base for our rural communities, because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that the communities expect that the village councils are going to provide basic services such as garbage collection, maintaining the public spaces, promoting local economic activities, certainly engaging the young people in business opportunities. And we felt that that is one way in which our businesses would be able to provide support to the village councils. As you're aware, there are many big businesses that are operating in our rural spaces.
That's
if you
true.
look at, for example, Ladyville, Lord's Bank, Bella Vista, Placencia, Hopkins, and many other rural communities. There are so many big businesses.
Big stores.
Big stores.
Yeah.
Yet, they have not been contributing anything in terms of revenue to the communities. So we felt that through this reform, we would have a regulatory framework that would provide, guidance as to how they are going to contribute.
I love the foundation that you set, Minister, because I think that, especially referencing the many businesses that are in rural communities, there are people who want to know who are the ones required to pay or to obtain trade licenses, and who's exempt from it.
Right. Well, again, it is very clear. Through this process, we have developed a framework that basically outlines who is going to contribute to this process. So, for example, we have, under the law, a business that has 600 or more feet of productive space would then be required to contribute to pay its trade license. Anything smaller than that, and this is where it is important that we clarify, because there has been a lot of misinformation where they're saying, the banana stand, the orange stand, the panades shop would be paying a trade license, and that is not so unless they're a big business that has more than 600 square feet of productive space. And I think it is very important that we make that clarification.
Yeah, so I was just looking at Google because I am challenged with measurements in my head and looking at it, right? So I was trying to figure out roughly what does 600 square feet compare to, and maybe you all have come across this question and tried to frame it for people's minds, but here Google says it's roughly the size of a standard 3-car garage. We don't really got garage like Belize, so I don't know about that one there. Or typically a 1-bedroom apartment, but it's enough to say that based on what we understand, these roadside vendors are exempt, correct, as CEO? One of the concerns really is how can you levy increased or additional charges or any sort of charges on the tacos vendor, for example, that's already struggling to make ends meet, or the fruit vendor?
Well, there's a lot there that we could address, but direct to your question, 600 square feet, if you want to have an idea of what the area of that is, you simply find the square root of 600.
Yeah, you make it more complicated. It's like, yeah, all right, cool, great.
It's 25 by 25.
Nice.
So it's 25 feet. It's bigger than this room. So if the business is slightly bigger than this room,
wow.
I mean, so everybody that is this room and smaller wouldn't have to pay. So a taco stand is obviously
much smaller.
Much smaller. So they are exempt. So so that is why that people who have these stalls and are vending and have these small businesses, micro enterprises in rural areas have absolutely nothing to worry about.
Why? Why exempt them?
Why exempt them? Because we want them to grow. We don't want them to be paying anything right now. We need them to take their profits, their revenues, reinvest it in their business and grow. When they get to a size that they can be eligible for trade license, then that's what we want. We want the small ones to get bigger.
I'm curious.
When they get bigger, then they pay. But we're trying to encourage them to grow.
No, and so just quickly, we've spent a lot of time over the years or months talking about the small vendors. It's the 25 by 25 and more square foot businesses that will have to now deal with this.
Yes.
So what's the cost to them and how will that be determined?
Right. So there's a tier. So 600 to I think like 800, then 800 to 1,000, 1,000 to up. So I'm not giving you the precise figures but they're there. So there are tiers. So there's like certain sizes pay a certain amount, and the largest one will pay is $2,000.
Okay.
So you don't
That's
pay.
annually.
That's yes, annually.
Yes.
So to give you an idea, for example, a business that is, 600 feet to about 800, it's about $150 a year. All right, that's what they would pay.
Yeah.
All right, just to give you an idea. And as CEO said, there is a clear tier, a schedule of fees that is applicable depending on the productive space size for each business.
So you could have the biggest factory in Ladyville, and the most they will pay is $2,000 for the year. That's it.
You mentioned that the fees that are paid largely goes back to the very same village council that is supposed to support these communities. Talk to us about how this process will work. Where do these businesses pay their trade license fees, and how does it end up back at the village council?
This is a very important process, and this is why it is important that the general public have a clear understanding of how this process is going to work. Right now, the system that we have with the liquor licenses, for example, is that the business establishments would go in and pay for their liquor license to the Treasury Department. So the Treasury Department collects the money. There is a process that is clearly established under our Ministry of Rural Transformation, Community Development, and Local Government, where every village council is expected to be able to provide their financial reports on a monthly basis to our ministry for review and consideration by the ministry. Once the ministry is satisfied that the village council has met all the requirements in terms of its reporting obligations, then our ministry is going to give clearance for the Treasury Department to be able to release and pay the money that is owed to the village council. So the money comes back to the village council.
Yes.
It's really decentralizing the system so that the village council is able to use the funds to promote development within their communities. As I said earlier,
think that's a good system too, because then every month they also have to show accountability in their financial records as well. What are some of the requirements that they have to meet in their report on a monthly basis?
Let me answer that. They have to provide all sources of revenue, like how much money did you collect from what, even because sometimes a citizen might say, hey, I want to donate to paint the park, and they'll give them $2,000. They have to record that. And then we go and check to see how much money they have received, if they have received anything, aside from the liquor license fees. And then they have to provide receipts for every expenditure they have made, and it all has to add up. We have full access to their bank accounts. Our officers request from the banks their bank statements, and we review everything. We reconcile to see how much money is in the bank, how much cash is on hand, and then they are given the green light. So if we disburse liquor license fees, let's say we disburse $5,000 to the council, they have to show us, account for that $5,000 before the next $5,000 can be given. If they don't, we don't disperse until you bring that to us.
I would imagine in communities like Ladyville, the figures will be huge.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So is it then that councils will get into a fight with the ministry over these funds when they see and know, based on their own calculations, that perhaps the ministry or through the tax regime is collecting tens of thousands of dollars and they're only getting $2,000 or $5,000?
So let me answer that. And you ask a question, and the way you worded it is very important. You said most of it will go back. Actually, everything goes back. Everything.
But not all at the same time.
No. That's the thing. We won't, because we need you to be accountable. We need you to make sure that if we release 10,000 or 20,000 to you, you have to show us what you do with that. Then we release the next tranche. That's how it works.
You wanted to add in on that, Minister?
No, I just wanted to add that that's the system that we have in place, and pretty much with the trade license is going to follow that same process.
Yes.
So again, business owners will have to go through the application process. It's going to go through the process of vetting and approval. to the point where the business owner will have to pay. Once the business owner pays, that money is received by the treasury, and again we repeat the process where village councils are expected to provide their financial reports. Once everything is up to mark and in line with our requirements, then we are going to authorize the disbursement of the trade license funds back to the village council. And normally it's done, as CEO said, it's normally done in phases, in tranches. We don't release everything because we want to ensure that, you know, these village councils are accountable.
I just wanted to quickly ask, what's your analysis of the reporting that you guys have received so far from these village councils? Have they been providing up-to-date reports and accurate reports of their spending throughout the month?
Yes, so we have our officers in all 6 districts, and each officer has an assigned set of villages to him or her that they are responsible for. And so we make sure that they go out and they get these reports. Now, there are some councils that, like Minister said, don't have any revenue.
Yeah, so you can't report nothing.
So they will report that we did not receive anything, we did not spend anything, but they still have to provide something for the record, right? Of course, there are some that fail to provide regular reports, and so they are the ones who do not receive the next disbursement. So we are not going to, you have to account. And so maybe the fight will be with that, but it will not be because we're not disbursing what they're due.
I don't think the fight will only be with that, because what happens when you strip yourselves of your ministerial clothing, of your ministerial robe and garments, and you put on your political garment, your true blue t-shirt, and you look at the village council or councillors that are leaning towards your opposition's party and their support, or an independent party, and you don't look at them favorably because you're the true blue and then the true red on that side there. How do you navigate
Paul,
that?
let me share this with you.
That's a good
it might sound a bit funny for me, the response I'm going to give, because I'm a politician.
Right.
But I will be honest with you. Since I took over the ministry of, our ministry, my policy has been very clear. Listen, we are here to work. We are here to develop this country. There are policies and legislation that we have to follow. Yes, I have my supporters. We have village councils that support us, but we make it absolutely clear. We're not going to mix them. We have to follow the law. And we have to ensure that if you are required to report, you are required to provide, these financial reports, then you must do so. And we are going to work with you. We are going to support you. But at the end of the day, the policy is clear. We are not going to exempt you. You must comply with what is expected of you. That's the only way we are going to better this country.
Do you feel the same way, CEO?
100%. It's a matter of integrity of the system. And systems are systems, but it's really the people who run it. As a matter of fact, if you're true blue, like me, then you will do what you're supposed to do to make this government look good. So you are not going to be delinquent simply because you're affiliated with the party. Absolutely not. That is not. We don't allow that. We have never allowed that. We will never allow that. We don't do business like that. Me, because the other thing too is, as the CEO, you are the accounting officer. So when the Auditor General goes and audits these village councils, the report comes to my desk and I have to answer questions for them. I am not going to entertain anything that will deviate from that kind of thing. So no, and we have had this, like, they're like, come on, help me out. And like, yes, you help you out. We will help you. We send our officers to sit with them to put together their reports. We do that. And then they have to sign that the report is complete. When you do that, you don't get your money. If you don't do that, sorry, I can't help you.
How long is that process? Checking these reports to ensure that they're accurate, to ensure that they're balanced, and if they're not, ensuring that they fill those gaps that are needed to have that money be released?
No,
Can that sometimes take a while?
It takes a while. It takes a while, and that's why you have to be very up to date with your records.
Yes.
So the faster you can submit a good, clean report, the faster you get your money.
Do you anticipate that that might also bring some challenges and delays? Village councils that have backdated reports.
Yes, yes. We have had some, when we took over in 2020, we have had councils who have not collected their fees for like 3 years. And to go through all of that. And we have assisted quite a few of them to get up to date.
Yeah.
So because they need the money, and the money is there. And they're entitled to it. And they can use it for their community. So we help them to put it together and come up to date, and then now they're up to date and they're running.
You also mentioned that the monies will be released in tranches. Is there like a certain percentage that they would receive if their report is accurate and up to date?
Well, so we only collect liquor licenses and trade licenses mostly.
Well, I'm referring to the
trade license.
Yeah, the trade license when that's official.
It's only collected once a year.
Okay.
So we will see. I mean, depending on the amount, like we will look at it. If it's 50,000 and your capacity is not there yet to handle 50,000, then we'll probably give you half.
That makes sense.
But that's the other thing too. So you were asking how you're going to pay and how you're going to manage and how fast does it work. So we have introduced a digital system for the trade license compared to the liquor license. So to pay a trade license now for the rural areas, you do not have to leave your village.
Okay.
You can do everything online. You can apply online, you can get approved online, you can pay online, and then you can print your certificate online, or you can have it on your phone. So it's all digital. So there's and then the good thing is, which is very important again for us at the ministry, is you do not have to hand over cash to any cashier at the ministry. As a matter of fact, our ministry has no cashier.
Okay.
I have deliberately ensured that we don't have cashiers at the ministry. Everything that we do is paid digitally, or you go to pay it at the Treasury Department, but we don't handle any cash whatsoever.
Tell me about the enforcement strategy that will be involved, because I imagine there's still some pushback from businesses who might not be ready to pay the amount that's increased now.
Well, that's why we're doing, and there was a lot of this, where we are at this point. We didn't just start it last week.
This has been years.
This has been years in the making. It started with a consultancy that was funded by the Inter-American Development Bank. And so it's, I think, at least 8 years in the making. So it's nothing new. And we've worked very closely with the Belize Chamber of Commerce. They've been an excellent partner with us. We set up working groups to discuss the different pieces of the law. And there are lots of consultations that we have done. And for the most part, some of it is also introducing the concept of fairness. So you have a hotel in Belize City, and then you have an hotel of equal size just down the road in Ladyville. One is paying trade license. I think they're paying, maybe, I know, let's assume, say, they're paying 10,000. The one in Ladyville is paying 0.
Yeah.
So, the chamber didn't really have a problem introducing trade licenses in rural areas, especially for those who can't afford it. And then, of course, they said, but a trade license shouldn't really be a tax. It should just be a fee to operate. And that's why we capped it at $2,000. In Belize City, there are businesses that are paying tens of thousands of dollars in trade license.
Yeah.
But we didn't do that in the rural areas because we understand and we agree with the chamber that it should just be simply a fee to operate, not necessarily a tax. I mean, yes, of course, you still have to pay, and yes, it's for public use. But when you look at villages like Placencia, it's a very productive area. There's high tourism in the area, but the council is unable to manage the one main street that they have. Sometimes you go there and there's big potholes in the street, but yet you have multi-million-dollar businesses right along that very same street. So where is the funds going to come for the community to fix their street? It has to be contributed by those operating in the area, because those operating in the city and the towns are contributing. And so the Placencia Village Council in this instance, for instance, would have now some resources to begin to address these things that will also benefit the business, because it will benefit the business community and the entire community when the councils have sufficient funds to address these things. But it's also part of the decentralization of government. Like you can't wait for central government to come to fix
Yeah.
a culvert, a drain, a street that can easily be fixed by the local council. That's why we established them in the first
It's
place.
important that you mention that because, you know, hearing you say that there may be potholes on a road in Placencia, there are people who legitimately have the view that those roads are supposed to be fixed by central government. And so when they find someone to blame, they go straight at the top. When there are all of these other, arms that are available to provide that support, and there's also the importance of the businesses and
Yes.
the personal contribution as well.
Yeah, like for instance, I mean, these high tourism areas, the economic contribution is absolutely great. It provides a lot of employment, but it generates a lot of garbage.
Mhm.
So how do we get rid of the garbage? Who's responsible for that?
Mhm.
You know, so we have to put in these systems and services in place. But in terms of managing this whole thing, we have a program to begin to build the capacity of these councils, especially those ones that we know will generate quite a bit of revenue from this process. Those are public funds. They have to be managed properly. And so we are developing new financial management system, computerized digital systems that we will introduce to the council so that everything is logged properly and that we can have access to all of that information from Belmopan so that their accounting is something that we can watch every day if we wanted to.
And the minister wanted to weigh in.
Yeah.
Sure. No, I just wanted to say that it's very important that we also appreciate that the process of assessment, you know, when these businesses are assessed, they are going to be assessed. Once the assessment is carried out, it's going to be a 3-year cycle. So it's not every year that they are going to be assessed. It's going to be, you know, so if they do the assessment this year, within 3 years' time, expect another assessment to see whether the business has grown, whether there has been an addition. So it's very, very important, and that is why the whole process of this trade license is really based on, you know, predictability, transparency, and accountability. Those are key pillars on which, you know, this whole process has been built on.
With the,
All right?
Go ahead.
That is indeed one of the changes. And there are several changes we're making to the whole trade licensing regime because right now, every year, the councils can come and assess your business and give you a new bill, a new rate or new something. But again, working with the chamber, they said, why will you assess me every year? You know, you might have added something, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you're automatically going to generate more business from that.
Yeah.
So they're giving you a little space, a little breathing room to grow. So they said, come back on the 3rd year, 3 years later. And so that's what is now put into the law. So you won't be assessed every year because you need room to grow, right?
So with this being almost a decade in the making, you all must know at this point in time how much revenue this will generate annually.
Well, the thing is that the business environment is, as you can expect, is very dynamic. You have some businesses opening, some businesses closing for a variety of reasons.
You don't have an estimate?
We do feel that it will generate significant amount of money for the communities, and we think that it will definitely help with the investment needed in those communities because, like.
But what's the estimate that you all have?
Well, right now we can't give you an exact number. I can't give you an exact number simply because we have not completed the whole tally of all the businesses in the country. Like I said, some villages have businesses, some villages don't. Some villages have businesses that will qualify, and some villages will have all of their business will not qualify, so they will have no revenue. But our officers have started the survey and the tallying of businesses, and I think pretty soon we'll have a very good idea of how much money will be generated. But again, all of these resources is going right back into the community for them to make sure the parks are clean, make sure the playgrounds are up to mark, the cemeteries are clean, the schoolyards are clean, whatever this is they need to do, they can have now this resource to do what they need to do.
And I think a very important component in addition to what you said is the ability of the village councils really and the community to promote local economic activities, to support more entrepreneurship, because the whole idea really is really to encourage the development and growth of local businesses. Because if you have that, you're going to have, a higher turnover rate in terms of, revenues going back to the council, and the whole economic activity in the community is going to certainly be enhanced.
Yeah. And I imagine that all of this ties in with the goals and mission of the National Rural Development Strategy. We're going to get to that in just a moment. First, we want to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation.
Seventh Annual CBU Media Awards. And once again, Greater Belize Media is regionally recognized with exceptional awards and special mentions. Best Social Media Content Creator Award, Benita Keme Palacio. Best Videographer Award, Rick Romero. Child Rights Champion, Children Who Inspire. Belize's Children's Parliament debates adolescent health access. Reporter, Brittany Gordon, and videographer, George Tillett. Child Rights Champion, Investigative Reporting Story. Special ed students locked out of school for 2 days straight. Reporters, Paul Lopez and Brittany Gordon. Videographer, George Tillett. Best Comedy Item, Grinch Steals Christmas at GBM, Rick Romero, Sheena Smith, and Nisa Sanchez. Special mentions include Best Advertisement, Television, OIE 17th Anniversary, Sheena Smith. Best Production on Land Degradation Neutrality, Boston Village Fights Back Against Illegal Logging. Reporter, Paul Lopez. Videographer, Dennis Tucker and Cleon Barrow. Best News Story, TV. Captain and Passenger Save Flight from Hijacker. Reporter, Marian Ali. Videographer, Darrell Miguel. Graphics, Sheena Smith. Greater Belize Media, growing together.
Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with the Ministry of Rural Transformation, Community Development and Local Government. Moments ago, we were talking about the rural trade license rollout and what that will involve, giving you guys an opportunity to truly understand this rollout and who will benefit and who will be paying. I think, though, in the second part of this conversation, we can look at this as one part of the whole strategy that's involved in the National Rural Development Strategy. Gentlemen, let's go into that. An extensive overview of what rural communities can expect through this ministry.
Right. So, we were talking about the revenues that go back into the communities. I just wanted to point out that we have a lot of very good village councils out there. As a matter of fact, I think a couple of weeks ago we had a stakeholder award ceremony where we award village councils of the year, and several of them have won that. Well, one per district. And
what was the winning? Can you name some of the winning villages?
So, for instance, San Narciso,
okay,
in Corozal. And it has to do with, do you provide regular financial reports? Are you carrying community projects? Do you have regular meetings? Things like that. And the winners, the 6 winners, they do a lot. They make sure they upkeep their community. They pick up the garbage. They clean their parks. They paint their community centers. They do community activities and that sort of thing. So there's a lot that is being done out there, of course, that is not seen, unfortunately. But we do recognize them and we appreciate them for what they do. So to transition over to your question, one of the benefits of this trade license for rural areas is the database that is going to be built from the system that we have developed. When you apply, you will put in where you're located, the type of business you're doing, and so forth. This will allow us to be able to get a very good picture of the spread of businesses in rural areas and the type of businesses in rural areas. That way then, we can then, as the government, begin to target them with much more better and more appropriate support to grow, to expand their production, even to begin to export. At the moment, we just know that there are lots of rural businesses, but we don't know who they are, and we don't know the extent of what they're doing. But with this database that we will have of all the applicants, it'll be easy for us to say, oh, okay, in the Cayo district, we have 50 agribusiness. And we can then survey them, and we can figure out, these are the 3 things that these businesses need. And then we go and we deal with that just for them. So that's the kind of support that we intend to bring to those rural businesses. So it's not really just for them to pay a trade license. It's for us to find out who they are, what support they need, and as the government, provide them with that support. Because the more economic activity have, the better it is.
Yeah.
There's more employment for people. There's
Right.
more income for households. There's more profits for those businesses, and that's what we want.
So I've always thought about this, and I'll give you an opportunity to jump in there, Minister. But I've always thought about the fact that I grew up in a village, right? And I had to leave my community to be successful. Not say successful, right? Successful is defined wherever, however, but to get a job that really pays. For me, it's sort of like domestic brain drain.
Yeah,
Whereas I could have used my skills and my talent to develop my community, the village that gave so much to me, but because industries doesn't exist, there isn't opportunities for solid jobs in my community, and in many communities across Belize, it makes no sense to stay in your community to do anything. Is it too far-reaching of a dream or a vision to establish communities where the villagers can contribute meaningfully through employment or otherwise to develop and build those communities?
No, sorry. Yes, absolutely, you're right. And that is actually one of the axes in the national strategy. I believe it's on the people. There are 4 P's to the strategy. The people part. One is we need to build the human capital in the rural areas. Most of the low-income earners in this country are, if you look at the characteristics of those workers, have low levels of education. It's just almost, synonymous. And so one of the things we want to do is to build that educational level of our rural people, to build the human capacity. The next thing is exactly what you said, and we call it building the talent cycle. That instead of leaving out, you build the capacity and it comes back into the village. And so there is a part in the strategy that looks specifically at that. So, and that is the only way, or not the only way, but one of the key ways to develop these rural areas. Because then your ingenuity, your creativity, your skills will remain.
Yes, it's not going to build another community or another.
No, and so the whole point of the National Rural Strategy is to address the issue of poverty. Poverty in rural areas is double that of urban areas, and we need to change that. And so one of the best ways to change it is with equipping the people with the right skill set, but also not just the skill set, but then providing them with additional support that they will need to be able to establish themselves in such a way that they can make a living right where they're from.
Minister, I just wanted to add, in addition to what you said, really the vision is that by 2030 and beyond, we should see better and more job opportunities for our people within the rural areas. We should see more and improved economic activities, in the rural areas, thereby contributing to reducing poverty. So in other words, the vision really is to create a very dynamic, productive rural space. That really is the vision that we envision through this strategy. And we are deliberate in our efforts in implementing this strategy. And that is why, as we launch the strategy, what we did is we have engaged with many of our development partners. I really want to say that we have had several meetings with key line ministries, such as the Ministry of Economic Transformation, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and likewise with the UN system. So we work very closely with UNICEF, with UNDP, and many other organizations, because we recognize that this is a very ambitious plan. And certainly we will require resources. The government alone cannot fund the strategy. But I must say that we have received a lot of interest, and already we are engaged in discussions, in planning, and putting in place, development plans to be able to implement the strategy. So we are well on our way. The idea here really is to capitalize on the resources that we have in the rural area. I can tell you, the rural area, for example, cacao, I'll just give you that as an example. In the Toledo district, we have a lot of cacao production. The problem is that we are exporting raw material. What we need to do is we need to develop public-private partnerships to be able to empower our rural people to be able to value add.
Right.
To value add. For example, we just had a meeting last weekend, and they were giving us some figures. If you sell the raw cacao beans, I think you're getting like, $6,000 to $7,000 per ton. If you sell cacao nibs, which is a little bit more processed, you can get up to $20,000 per ton. So this is the kind of encouragement, this is the kind of support that our rural spaces need. And this is why we are deliberate in why we are targeting those areas.
I hate to go back, but I wanted to ask a question, and I forgot to mention it. For legitimate businesses operating in their home space, how does that work with paying trade license? It might exceed the vendor roadside area, but there are some businesses who sell food from their homes,
right?
Or there are some businesses who simply operate in their home.
Again, we will have to be very careful in how that area is assessed, because it will have to meet the requirements of the 600 square feet or more. And again, if it doesn't meet that, then obviously it is not going to be qualified to pay a trade license.
So let's say you have a flower shop at your house, like you sell flowers and flower arrangements, and you have a 10 by 10 room in your home, and that's where you do your floral business, then it's exempted.
Okay.
Because it's not 600.
It's not the entire house.
It's not 600 square feet,
Yes.
So no, they don't have to worry. But there is a very interesting feature to the law that we put in there, and it's called just registration, not licensing, registration. Because if you have a flower shop and you make $1,000 a week or $500 a week, and you want to deposit that into the bank will want to know your source of funds. And you will tell the bank, well, I have a floral business and I make $500 a week or whatever. They will say, well, you need to open a business account. You can't put this into your personal account, right? And then they will ask you, they will give you a list of requirements. So show me that you actually have this business.
Yeah.
And then right now, rural businesses have no way of proving that they actually exist, and that is indeed the case. So in that case, what we will do is you can come to the village council or go and apply online, but simply to register, and the fee for that is $10.
Okay.
So then you can register your floral business. You will get a business registration certificate, and then you can go to the bank to open your business account to say, look, I am recognized by the law. I am not licensed because there's no license requirement, but I'm a legitimate registered business. So here is my certificate, and all it costs you is $10.
Excellent.
So we're doing that because we have had a lot of experiences with a lot of people do these online sales, and then they go to the bank and say, I want to deposit this money. And the bank say, where you get it from? I say, well, I do online sales. It's like, okay, well, you have a business. Yes. Then you need a business account.
And they know why you're showing your Facebook Live.
And then, the Facebook isn't sufficient. It has to be something backed by law.
Correct.
So now we make it easy for you So for this floral business who will not pay any trade license but will now be able to open or at least meet the bank requirements for a bank account.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, we do have to wrap up this conversation.
Really?
Yes. Really. we spent a great deal of time discussing the trade regime, the tax license regime, and as well as sometimes discussing your development strategy. And so I want to thank both of you for coming on set this morning and spending some time with us. And we look forward to hearing from both of you again sometime
Certainly.
soon.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
We do
of
appreciate
course.
the opportunity.
All right, well, we do have to jump to another break, and when we come back, the conversation is switching into drought warning for Belize. We'll be joined by the Chief Met Officer, Ronald Gordon, as he explains the El Nino threat.
Sounds better with JBL. Whether you're relaxing, working out, or getting the party started, there is a JBL speaker or headphone made just for you. Enjoy powerful JBL pure bass sound with the new JBL Tune 530 BT and Tune 730 BT. Wireless headphones delivering all-day comfort and long-lasting battery life. Take your music anywhere with the compact, mighty JBL Go 5. Built to keep the beats going. Ready to party? Turn every gathering into an unforgettable experience with the JBL Party Box on the go. Essentials too, or go even bigger with the all-new JBL Party Box 330, packed with booming sound, dynamic light show, and endless entertainment. Get yours today at Cellular World and get a 1-year warranty from the authorized JBL distributor.
Every dream begins with an opportunity, and every opportunity has the power to change a life. This year, Belize Bank proudly welcomes 16 outstanding new scholars during its 14th annual Scholarship Awards ceremony, recognizing young Belizeans whose academic excellence, leadership, and determination inspire us all.
When I look around the room today, I see future entrepreneurs who will build businesses. I see future doctors who will heal families. I see engineers who will design infrastructure, teachers which will inspire the next generation.
For Belize Bank, a scholarship is more than financial assistance. It's a commitment to each student's future through guidance, encouragement, and mentorship from members of our management team. Today, we celebrate 16 new scholars, more than 250 lives transformed, one shared future. Because when we empower our youth, we empower our nation.
6 things, one morning. In Belize, that's usually a whole week of asking around. Find It 501 is a directory of every business in Belize. Every district, every category, hardware to hear to what's happening this weekend. Done before noon.
6 businesses got found this morning. Is yours on Find It 501?
Her phone, her laptop, her whole life in this apartment. If anything happens, it's more than just a loss. It's everything. RF&G Renters Insurance helps protect what matters most, even when you don't own the place.
Get a smart start this new school year with deals you don't want to miss. Get a prepaid device starting at just $235. Choose from the TCL 503, Honor Play 10, Samsung A07, Samsung A17, and more. Every prepaid device purchase includes a free starter package with minutes, data, and SMS to get you started. Students and teachers, sign up for a Trio postpaid plan and enjoy 50% off for 3 months. Bundle your Trio plan with a postpaid data plan and get a free MiFi. Start the school year powered up with a postpaid power pack, including a device and your postpaid plan deposit, starting at $275. Plus, new students and teachers that sign up for their postpaid bundle get their first month free. Power up for back to school with Smart. Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome back. We are jumping into our next conversation, and it's certainly one a lot of people are talking about. There are some concerns about droughts. A drought watch, some people are calling it a drought warning even. Well, we are here by the Chief Met Officer, the Chief Meteorologist of the National Meteorological Service of Belize, Ronald Gordon, and he is here to talk about all things El Nino and even the possibility of Belize experiencing a drought in the coming month. Good morning, Mr. Gordon. It's always a pleasure having you here, and
Hi,
welcome.
Good morning, Sabrina. Good morning, Paul. It's a pleasure
Now,
to be here.
I want to start things off quickly with an assessment of what we are experiencing right now, Chief. A lot of people are calling it one of the hottest months that we have seen so far in 2026. So much so, counting it or relating it to the El Nino, a topic that was mentioned earlier in the year. And of course, you also know that we've been speaking about the possibility of a drought in September as well. Let's start off with the temperatures. Are we experiencing record heat temperatures right now in the country?
Well, it has been warm, as everyone would know, but it hasn't been record. So we haven't seen a record break so far for the month of August, but it has been consistently warm. We have been experiencing temperatures up to the 90s, or at least the upper 80s along the coastal areas and the mid 90s in the interior, which is again not record, but certainly very warm.
Is this warm? Is this considered normal for around this time of the year?
There are varying levels when you talk about normal, right?
Yeah.
So we know that typically August we have what we call the maga season, a dry period and a warm period. However, given the fact that we are in an El Nino year, which has been established, it is a bit warmer or drier, I would say, than what we normally experience for this time of the year.
So what I would want to establish is at the start of, or my first question is that very thing there. What is an El Nino? For those who don't know, and when we talk about, as I heard climatologist Shana Youngs mention yesterday, when we talk about the El Nino strengthening, like it's a storm system, right? What are we talking about? So those two parts.
Sure. So let me try to break it down as quickly as possible and in as layman term as possible.
Yeah. I need like that part more.
Yeah. So certainly, it is a natural cycle. That's the first thing. It is not related to climate change as such. El Nino is a natural oscillation between the ocean and the atmosphere. Occurs every 2 to 7 years. And what causes it? Typically, we have this interaction between the ocean and atmosphere in the Pacific Ocean, where if you have lighter than normal trade winds, typically it creates warmer conditions, which is El Nino. And when you have stronger than normal trade winds within that area, it creates upwelling and La Nina. So it means that the temperatures in the Pacific could either be below normal, above normal, or normal. When they're above normal, it is an El Nino. There are warmer than normal conditions in that area. And how it affects us in the Caribbean and in Central America is that it creates more, as I've always said before, vertical wind shear, stronger winds at the higher levels of the atmosphere, which tend to disrupt thunderstorms, precipitation, that type of activity in our area, resulting in less rainfall and warmer conditions because air that is coming over eventually sinking air warm, we call it subsides in the technical term. Warming air, of course, creates hotter than normal conditions across the region and drier than normal conditions.
There are a lot of people, though, who have the view that if you're experiencing hotter than normal conditions, the idea of the sea warming up, there's a possibility that we will be experiencing more hurricanes. Or at least more thunderstorms. Is there any correlation between an El Nino affecting like hurricanes or thunderstorms or tropical systems?
So hurricanes, for example, are very complex systems, right? They require more than one factor for them to intensify. Warming oceans is one factor, but you cannot have all that warm ocean with all that energy there without favorable atmospheric conditions. So even though we may be experiencing warmer than normal air currently, and not necessarily the ocean, I think the last I checked, we're kind of like around normal in terms of the Caribbean and the Atlantic. There are some pockets of areas that are warmer than normal in the Atlantic. But even though you may have warmer than normal, which is one ingredient for tropical systems to develop, the atmosphere is also important. So when you have an El Nino, what happens is, like I said before, you have those strong upper level winds that are tearing those systems apart.
Right.
You have subsiding air, sinking air, which tends to be warmer and drier, again disrupting systems from forming. And then of course, we have another factor which may not be related to El Nino, which is the Saharan air layer, that dusty, dry layer of air coming off Africa. And we have seen those factors affecting this particular hurricane season. As you can see right now, we are at 3 named storms, and most of them have been very weak and short-lived. And currently there is a system out in the Atlantic that is showing signs of formation, but again,
a lot of dry air around it.
A lot of dry air around it. All the models are indicating that it may form into a depression or a storm, but it will likely be short-lived.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned in response to my question about decreased rainfall. We have 2 seasons in Belize. We got a dry season and we got a rainy season. The rainy season is when we expect the rain. What happens in the dry season when we don't get expected or needed rainfall in the rainy season?
So first of all, let's summarize what has been occurring so far.
Yes.
For this particular year, we have areas that are receiving below normal rainfall. Now, we do have a thing called the Standardized Precipitation Index, and I don't want to get too technical, but it basically tells us how far away from normal we are, right? And if you did statistics, you heard about standard deviation. Basically, if you have this long trend in terms of your rainfall or your whatever variable you're measuring, you can establish a norm around that variable. So when we say standardized precipitation index, we're talking about how far away from that average you are in terms of the record. And what we have seen so far is that even though a lot of many parts of the country are experiencing below normal rainfall, actually the northern part and the northwestern part of the country are significantly below normal. But they haven't reached that threshold that will declare it to be a drought, because we require about 1.3 within the rainy season, 1.3 standard deviation away from the normal for it to be declared a drought. So less rainfall, a deficit in rainfall, but not yet in drought condition. But we are monitoring it because it may have impact going forward, and that goes back to your question. If we are not getting the amount of rainfall we typically get during the rainy season, which tends to recharge reservoirs, give or moisten the soil, have that soil moisture there, what happens when the dry really comes in?
When dry season.
Correct, which is typically for us. I mean, of course, rainy season, the high rainy season ends in November at the end of the hurricane season, but then we do have the transition period between November and around February, when you do get some rains from the cold fronts. But then the dry really picks up in February, March, where it gets really, really dry. So if for all this time we're not getting the normal rainfall that we do normally get, and then that dry kicks in, we will be seeing some issues next year.
That brings me to another question, Chief, because a lot of people feel that we are under a drought warning. What's the difference between a drought watch and a warning?
Okay, and that applies to everything that we issue in terms of warning and watch, right? So from a Met perspective, when we issue a watch, it typically means you'll be on the alert. Drought could be evolving. There's a possibility that you may be seeing drought. And again, it applies for everything, even for hurricanes.
Yes.
When we issue a hurricane watch, it means that there's a possibility that we may get a hurricane. It doesn't mean that it definitely will occur. When we go into a warning, we have more confidence. We're seeing the patterns evolving, and then it means that you have to be more prepared. You got to take action. At that point, you take action. For a watch, you be on the alert, you monitor. You take some measures of preparation, but it doesn't have to be that drastic. But once it goes into a warning, that's when you have to basically take action and start preparing.
Where are we right now?
So for the western parts of the country, the northwestern parts of the country where we're seeing those rainfall deficits, we are under a watch.
Okay.
Because it's possible that we may see drought condition, especially, like I said, going into next year dry season. And if I may, the El Nino that we are seeing right now has not peaked. So when you talk about strengthening, again, I think I skipped over that question. You had an earlier question about what it means by strengthening. So we're right now about, I believe, about 2 degrees Celsius above normal in the Pacific. And models are indicating that we may see 3 or above 3 degrees Celsius warmer than average. And that has significant implications because, again, all those factors that I mentioned, all those atmospheric relations, circulation pattern will be disrupted even further when that intensifies. And it appears from all indications that the peak will be around towards the end of this year. However, even when it peaks, of course, it doesn't go back to normal immediately. So even next year within the dry season, we will likely be in a moderately strong El Nino.
I like how early we're having this conversation. And I say early, but because I'm thinking about the next dry season, but the impacts are already being felt. So what does it look like on the ground for the Northwest and industries in Northwest Belize that are already experiencing significant low rainfall?
So there are many implications. Of course, water availability will be an issue. Even for if you are doing irrigation, it will be an issue because you have to drill farther down to get to the water. But also, if you are looking at rain-fed agriculture, it's going to suffer a lot. So they may likely have issues going forward. And of course, we have different sectors that are impacted. We already are experiencing issues with our electricity, with our energy, right? And that is actually what we had been informing from the beginning of the season, that we would be seeing these rolling blackouts because we depend on hydroelectricity a lot. Even when we purchase from Mexico, we are purchasing what they have, which is basically hydro. Mm-hmm. So if they're having, and of course it's a regional problem, right? Mexico is in suffering problems. We have our neighbors in Salvador who declared a drought emergency, and Panama as well. So it's a regional issue. And therefore, we will be seeing some further issues when it comes to the electricity distribution, the amount of energy that we can have from the electrical power, and that will be another factor.
I want to quickly ask, you mentioned that El Salvador declared a drought emergency.
Yes.
What's the circumstances for a country to determine a drought emergency?
So again, if they are using the same standard as us, I believe that we are at 1.3 below in terms of the index I mentioned, the SPI. Then it would be farther down, like maybe 2 or 3 standard deviation from normal. It basically means that they're barely getting any rainfall, right? And therefore, they're having impacts. I saw some images of their corn field, their plantation drying out. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason why they may be declaring that emergency. Mm-hmm. Right?
So I want to go further into that energy thing because I want to contextualize it a bit more in terms of you're saying less rainfall. That to me means more hot days, mm-hmm. which would then lead to increased demand in terms of energy, correct? Wouldn't that be like a correlation there?
Precisely. So you raise an important point. There's a higher demand and there's less of it, right? So it creates a real issue. Basically, like you said, it's hotter. There's more demand for cooling, especially cooling. So therefore, there's a system already being strained by the lack of the resource we need for it, which is the water. The dams need water, right, for them to generate that power. So there's already a strain there, and then there's higher demand, which creates a real problem.
Since when have you all been forecasting this?
Actually, we presented, from the beginning of this hurricane season, we presented both to Cabinet. We presented this information to the National Security Directorate. They had requested it, what will be the impact of the potential El Nino, and we did indicate that there will be these issues going forward into this particular season.
What happens if and when, as forecasted, El Nino strengthens? What happens into the coming months in terms of hotter days for us here in Belize?
Well, the hot days will persist. We do expect that going even into October, we maybe see hot conditions. It doesn't mean that we won't have our cold fronts. Actually, one of the other results attributed to El Nino is that you tend to have more of a stronger jet stream, which tend to create more frontal system coming into our area. So maybe into November, December, we'll be seeing some relief from the heat, but the fact that you had already had the dry conditions, of course, will persist. And these fronts typically, during an El Nino year, they don't sit here and rain. They're not rain fronts as we normally would call them, or sometimes we refer to them, but they're actually those that sweep through. And then, of course, behind that, there's more dry conditions, windier conditions. So again, back to the drought, the potential of drought, that will also tend to exacerbate that potential for drought going into next year dry season.
Hydroelectricity or hydro energy comes from primarily riverines. Is that under threat with El Nino? It is going to be under threat. Again, of course, we're not the department that does monitor river levels. It will be hydrology, but certainly from our own experience and understanding, if you're getting less rainfall, it will eventually affect the riverine system.
Well, Mr. Gordon, it's a pleasure having you here as always. I think there's definitely an appreciation for this information right now when everyone is experiencing the warmer temperatures and they're worried about the possibility of a drought affecting their production if they're farmers. There's also been the possibility or the conversation around food supply and food security and what that could also cause as well. So we'll definitely be keeping in touch with you and of course looking forward to further updates when available.
As you leave, is there any advice for Belizeans or that residents can take in general to be better prepared or to tackle what's here and what's ahead?
I think that the best thing we can do is try to conserve as best as possible. So we know that water is a finite resource. We try to conserve, don't waste water. And even your electrical usage, I know that people are complaining about electrical bills, but if you can try to minimize or try to conserve as much as possible, it's important. It will help you and it will help the whole system in general. I wanted to mention one other factor that we didn't discuss, which is the possibility of wildfires.
Yes, that's true.
And our dry season in 2027 is likely going to see a severe wildfire outbreak, which is something we need to be on the alert for. Given, again, the dry conditions that we're experiencing, and of course it's going to be hot again next year in the dry season, so we need to be on the lookout for that as another potential impact from the El Nino.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. We're going to take another quick break, but don't go anywhere. Our next conversation is all about Beyond the Game, partnering with the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the YWCA for an upcoming community health fair.
Full-Tech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Full-Tech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
So it started off like any other summer day in Belize. I decided to go down to Builders Hardware since I heard they had 25% off on summer outdoor products. I got a couple of items, a chair, a grill, a cooler, and I got carried away, but the prices were so good. But anyways, I might have gotten comfortable, maybe too comfortable. Then I saw the news, man, the hurricane season was not playing with me. But thank God Builders also had 25% off hurricane preparedness items as well. Flashlights, batteries, sealant, first aid kits, everything I need. And guess what? My grill survived.
Get
Get ready, Belize! On September 5th, the streets come alive with color, culture, music, and pure Belizean energy as GBM brings you the 2026 Carnival Road March. One country, one rhythm, one carnival, and you won't miss a moment. GBM will be live from the start of the road march until the final beat, bringing you the sights, sounds, excitement, interviews, performances, and all the action along the way. September 5th, 2026, starting at 2 p.m. Whether you're on the road or watching from home, GBM is bringing the carnival to you, live, non-stop, and up close. We got the rhythm, we got the vibes. We got the carnival. GBM Carnival Road March 2026. One country, one rhythm, one carnival.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned with us. This one is all about a community health fair that's coming up, and we have two leaders of this initiative partnering. We have Beyond the Game, and we'll learn a bit more about what Beyond the Game is, or who are the people behind Beyond the Game, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Oh, and we have YWCA. So that party, because treat our party, right? And it's all about the community health fair that's coming up, and we have joining us on set a host of Beyond the Game, Miss April Alvarez. Good morning, Miss Alvarez.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us.
No problem. It's a pleasure having you. So tell us a bit about this health fair and how it came about.
Okay, so just a little bit of background about what Beyond the Game is.
Yeah, you go right ahead.
We've just started up. It's sort of a podcast. It's a show that we will have. We hope to become one of the most trusted voices in Belize as it relates to sports and the entire dynamics, the skeletal structure of sports and sports advancement in Belize, right? So we'll have a lot of focus to do. And with that, we've decided, let's start to tackle sports from the initial stage. One of the most important things of being an athlete or for any type of sports is having a healthy body, a healthy mind. So we are rolling out this initiative of having a health fair for student athletes between the ages of 18 to 22, 12 to 22. And it will be happening this Saturday at the YWCA compound, corner St. Thomas Street and Freetown Road. We start at 9 a.m. and we are hoping to wrap up by 2 p.m. Right?
I love the idea of having a podcast where young at heart athletes can see themselves, hear their personal stories. And of course, even the general public, they can understand what are some of the challenges that they still face and ways that we can support them and support sports in general in this country. Have you guys officially launched as yet, Beyond the Game? Because I've seen some kind of clippings of it, and I was excited about it, but have you started as yet?
So we've done basically a soft launch.
Okay.
We've shot our first show. It's in the editing and production stage.
Okay.
And we hope to roll that out pretty soon. We'll have our announcement date coming up soon. And this is part of our launch, a health fair a free health fair. We're inviting all student athletes from the age of 12 to 22. So if you're going to primary school, high school, tertiary level of education, this is a part of
What's
our
the demand like for these sort of services for young athletes?
Sorry, excuse me?
What's the demand like for these sort of services for young athletes?
The demand, I don't think that there is a demand in Belize, and that is something that is vital, very vital in the development of sports. So we hope to bring across this message and to foster this, right? Because I don't think there's much screening for athletes. It's all left on the athlete, the individual, to do that for themselves.
And maybe their coach to give them some support.
Right.
But when you think of mental health, I think that's even more far left field. Have you heard from athletes and maybe some challenges that they face concerning mental health in navigating the different sports disciplines that they're attached to?
So coming out of our first interview for our first show, we found that there's not much focus on mental health for athletes. Again, it's dependent on the individual, their coaches, and their family system. And so we hope to bring this highlight forward, being the voice for these type of concerns and bringing the importance of it so that it can be initiated in the sporting community, whatever type of sport. Physical athletic sports, mental sport like table sports, and aquatic sports.
So
I think about, go ahead.
Who will be providing these services?
Okay, so we're working hand in hand with, for this weekend, on this Saturday, we're working with the Ministry of Health. They have their team coming out. They'll be doing certain screening. They'll be doing blood pressure screening. They'll be doing discussions with them about their nutrition, their mental health, their wellness. So we have teamed up with Ministry of Health to take over this platform. We're just delivering it for our athletes, yes, making it available.
And YWCA's role in it is just providing the
Right,
space.
and we all know YWCA is a youth community type of initiative that they have in Belize. So it would be, it has come to our attention that it is one of the most highlighting partners to work with, especially at-risk youths, the youths that don't have access to certain things. So YWCA came in handy for that particular initiative.
What fees or donation is being asked of the athletes?
No, this is a free health fair. So they come out, they get free physical checkup, free mental health checkup, and we will be providing free advice, free talks with the athletes about their nutrition and how to maintain. Yes, everything is free.
How does it work with the mental health part of it at the fair? Because sometimes people might have sensitive topics that they're holding close to them. How do you go to a fair and talk about mental health?
Okay, so what we hope to do is to gain an understanding of the basic challenges that athletes face that they may not speak about. And from there, we will navigate the information and see how better we can move forward in providing further available outlets for them to utilize in that area. I know that a first day screening or a first time discussion won't bring forth any kind of vital information or deep information, but at least we'll be able to touch base and encourage them that it's okay for us to address this. And I think that in Belize, we don't even give factor or give mind that athletes do have to maintain a sense of health when it comes to their mental stability.
And it's not always about the deep traumas for athletes. That's across the board for everybody. Sometimes for athletes it's as simple as struggling with some level of competition anxiety, or their nervousness to the point that it affects your game and it affects your ability to perform. So mental issues that affects your ability to perform while performing, the mental issues you go through, I think it's at that level for athletes, though for everybody in general, there are deeper issues that
I was thinking of a segment that we had a couple months ago where a sports psychologist from outside of Belize came on the couch and spoke about how athletes might benefit from having mental health support or even having a sports psychologist attached to whatever type of association or federation they're involved in.
Right.
Well, give us an overview of date, time, location, and if there's anything that people need to do to prepare themselves for certain testing. I don't know if they need to not eat before they come and stuff like that.
Okay, so the date is this Saturday. We will start at 9 a.m. and we wrap up at 2 p.m. We'll be at the YWCA compound in Belize, and you don't really need anything to come prepared. We'll be out there. You come on out, enjoy the benefits, and walk away with something refreshing, and know that the Beyond the Game is here for support for all athletes, from child athletes all the way to elite athletes in Belize.
Excellent.
And how can we follow Beyond the Game and see future episodes?
We are currently on Facebook, or we have a Facebook page so far named Beyond the Game. You like and follow us, and hopefully our YouTube podcast channel roll out pretty soon. We'll be sharing the access to that link so that we have followers and subscribers to our channel.
Wonderful. Well, April, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, and we wish you guys all the best.
Thank you so much for having us, and thank you for your well wishes.
Alrighty. Well, we have to take one more quick break, and when we come back, we wrap things up.
Need to submit your sickness benefit claim online and have a physical medical certificate? Here's how you can do it. First, go to ssbportal.org.bz and log into your My Social Security account. Next, on your dashboard, click Benefits and choose Forms. Review the requirements, then click Continue to proceed. Click Apply under Sickness Benefit to start your claim. Review and confirm your banking information. If it is not correct, select No and follow the steps to update your banking details. If your banking information is correct, select Yes. Next, if your illness is not related to an injury at work, select No and proceed to upload your medical certificate. Select your claim period and confirm your employer details. Read the declarations and click each to agree. Click Submit and you're done. A confirmation email will be sent to you. Your employer will also receive an email with your claim details and a request for your salary information. If needed, submit your sickness benefit claim online and receive real-time status updates.
The way Belize uses electricity is changing. At home, families are using more devices, smarter appliances, and connected technology. Across the country, businesses are growing, industries are expanding, and communities are finding new ways to live, work, and move forward. Behind that progress, the energy system must continue to grow with Belize. At BL, modernizing the grid is part of preparing for what comes next. A grid with greater visibility, more accurate information, and better tools to manage energy as needs change. Through investment in digital systems, upgraded infrastructure, and improved monitoring, BEL is strengthening how electricity is managed and delivered across the country. Not just for today's needs, but for the future Belize is building. As new technology emerges, from solar generation to community energy systems, the grid must be ready to support them safely, reliably, and sustainably. This is the work of modernization, step by step, system by system, community by community, helping prepare Belize for a more connected, resilient, and sustainable energy future.
As a sheetrock installer for decor construction, I know the job is only as good as the materials I use. Using inferior products can lead to more waste, weak core integrity, sagging, and more time fixing the problem instead of finishing the job right. And that's why I trust USG Drywall, Ply-Sem, and Best Screws from Venice because quality is savings.
Quality is savings at Benny's. Best for you and best for me. At Benny's, it's the quality. Benny's, quality and savings.
Welcome back. We're wrapping things up at this time, but it has been a wonderful morning, Paul. I have to say a huge thank you to all of our guests who joined us. I know we definitely had quite a viewership on YouTube, as you mentioned, so thank you to our YouTube fans for locking in, and of course on Facebook, and everyone else for tuning in. It is August 27th, and if you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you. If you'd like to give a birthday shout out, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oie@greaterbelize.com.
You could also catch us live on Facebook every weekday morning at Open Your Eyes BZ, or Instagram for all the behind the scenes highlight. That's OIE Belize. We even have TikTok. Follow us on TikTok at openyoureyes.bz.
And then you can call us or text us on our OIE phone number. That's 675-2555. But please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow for What the Friday, when you open your eyes
and start your morning right.
Until then, be sure to keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart wide open.
Have a wonderful Thursday. Good morning, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Peace. Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.